Hey y'all, welcome back to Hermanas Unfiltered. I'm Isela, school counselor, chaos coordinator, and proud mom of three.
Hello, everyone, and I'm Casey, your favorite seventh grade English teacher and expert in surviving teenage boy energy, that's for sure. And yeah, I'm a mom of five lucky, beautiful boys.
Hey Casey, we need to start a support group for moms of all boys.
I
I think
agree.
you need help.
It's so true. But today we're going to dive into something so important, which is building and maintaining connections. So, whether you're in a relationship or maybe at work or with friends, connection is definitely the glue that keeps us sane.
Right? Because let's be real, Casey, we all had those moments where we feel disconnected. Like we're just going through the motions, or you feel like you haven't talked to anybody in days. So today we're going to break it all down on how to build and keep connections that actually matter.
Yeah, that's right. I can't wait. So, go ahead and get started. Let's start with relationships. So let's talk about, marriage and partnerships and dating, which I feel is all about connection. And let's be real, keeping this cup. And I mean, let's be real, keeping that connection and that spark going after having kids and you have a job and you have to come home and cook and clean and still make time for yourself and a million other responsibilities is no joke.
For sure, it is no joke at all. I mean, my husband and I used to have like date nights here and there, and now, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your idea of romance becomes sending each other memes or TikToks or like, funny videos on Instagram across the room
Yeah.
because let's face it, we're so busy. I mean, you have 5 kids, I have
Yeah.
3. They both work long hours, and there's just not enough time in the day to keep those connections alive the way we want them to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everything's so fast paced, with kids, especially when you have kids, you know what I mean? You're being pulled a million directions, and that's
Mhm.
not including your job. It's not including like the things that you want to do for yourself. So, definitely it's definitely a struggle figuring
Mhm.
out how to keep your relationship alive.
Yeah, I saw this thing the other day. It was like an inspirational thing or something, and it said that we keep thinking that living a fast-paced life or being
Mhm.
super busy means that you are successful or that you are doing things right.
Mm.
But then it said let's get used to not living that way. Let's slow down and enjoy the little things and enjoy spending time with our loved ones every chance that we get. And I was like, man, that is
Yeah.
so true.
Mhm. It really is. Because you're right. The busier that we are, the more accomplished we begin to feel. And
Mhm.
sometimes we forget. And, instead of really focusing on, the person that's going to be there for the rest of your life, right? Because your spouse,
Yeah.
that's it, right? That's the person that you're going to grow old with. You tend to, all these other things come into play and they overshadow, what's really important.
Yeah. I agree. Do you ever realize that you haven't put enough time into your relationship or your partner, and then you kind of have to take a step back and be like, I've let all these other things come on top of making that connection with my husband this week? Do you ever do that?
You know what? I do. Like, I realize, and I think I did it there for a long time. I think lately I've been a little bit more in tune with that. But yeah, there's definitely been like weeks where it's not that we don't talk, it's just that we're so busy with everything else that we don't necessarily, or at some point, we weren't necessarily making the time to talk about things. You know what I mean? Like, I remember watching the Real Housewives of whatever, right? Orange County or whatever it may be. And I remember Heather Dubrow. Okay, it was Heather Dubrow. And, stuff would go down with housewives, right? They would get into fights or whatever. And then you would see like 2 days later or 3 days later, like she's having dinner with her husband, and she's like, well, let me tell you what happened. And I'm like, how the hell do you go 3 days without telling your man this juicy drama that just went down with
Right?
so and so? And you know what? Like maybe the last 2 years, I've maybe like I see it now because we
Mm-hmm.
are so busy. Sometimes we're so caught up on sports or like what's going on with the kids that I forget to tell him, like, I know I have like juicy stuff that I want to share with him, but there's not enough hours in the day, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes. So, yes, I definitely feel that way.
I feel like more times than none, you do talk to each other, but you talk about things that are happening or things that need to be done instead of like having an actual real
Mm hmm.
conversation about anything at all that is not related to your kids or to things that need to be
Yeah.
done, or you
Mm
know what I
hmm.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to keep that
Yeah.
communication open at all times.
It really is. And I think that's when you like have to actively say, like, okay, the connection with my spouse or with my partner isn't where I want it to be. But instead of like getting angry or getting resentful or, saying, well, if he doesn't want to, then forget it. You know what I mean? I think there comes a moment where you have to kind of say to yourself, like, hey, okay, this is not happening in my relationship. And this is something I want. So let me cultivate it. Let me
Yeah.
find a way to, nurture this relationship instead of getting mad and getting upset and just saying, well, never mind. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that's
Yeah.
important too.
Yeah, and I think it works both ways, you know. I think we've gotten to the point where, like I said, we catch it and we are able to, like, if sometimes I'm in the bedroom and he's in the living room playing video games, he'll stop and he'll come in and he'll sit in here for a little bit, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, we just haven't hung out. We haven't talked in a few days." So he'll sit here and we'll hang out for a few minutes. Um, or sometimes if I know that we haven't really connected in a few days, I'll come up to him or I'll text him. I'll be like, "Hey, we need to make time tonight after the kids go to bed so we can hang out because we haven't really been connecting here lately." So I think that's the key, being able to recognize when you haven't been connecting with your partner or your spouse in a while.
Yeah, yeah, and doing something about it, whether it's planning a date, whether it's, cooking your favorite meal or sitting out on the porch. Summer's coming up and
Mm-hmm.
I love going outside, letting the kiddos play and us just like chill out and just watch them. You know what I mean? It's like watching
Yeah.
the fruit of your labor while you connect with your spouse. And I think that's such a beautiful thing.
Casey, I think you hit it right on the spot. Intentional connections is a key. When you are trying to hang out with your partner, you got to do it with intention. So always have something in mind to be able to reconnect with your partner or stay
Hmm.
connected to your partner. So what do you guys do? Do you have examples of what do you do sometimes? Like I know I said that we catch each other and then we'll make time. What do you guys do?
There's a lot of things that we do. I know, like, I'll ask, like, if I feel like we haven't really connected, I'll, ask him, like, hey, let's plan a date, whether it's going out to dinner, maybe catching a movie, going out dancing, or just going out for drinks without the kiddos is really nice. And then sometimes we just can't get away from our family obligations. So, we'll do game night with the kids.
Mhm.
I love doing that. And it's like an all around, date for all of us. So,
Yeah.
but it takes us back to the root of it all. You know what I mean? It grounds us, it helps us focus on our family. And I think sometimes there's always this connotation that the grass is always greener on the other side. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think once you really, tell yourself like, okay, this is where I want to be, this is who I want to be, this is the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, um, then I think you approach it in a more intentional way, and you definitely um, put it onto perspective. Because what if a day from today, you no longer have your spouse? What if you lose them due to like a tragic accident, or maybe they have to like leave out of town for a long time or whatnot? You know what I mean? You want to
Yeah.
ask yourself, what are the things that I wish I would have done with them that I never got the opportunity to do? And that's a great place to start. If you're not sure how to like reconnect with your spouse, or how or what you guys should do, think about all the things that you wish you would have done. And obviously you're not going to like fly to Hawaii tomorrow, right? Or you're not going to like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, do something super crazy, but like think of the little things. What things that you wish you would have done, whether it's holding their hand more, maybe scratching their back, or like hanging out with them in the kitchen, or maybe your like spouse loves to go and work on cars. You know what I mean? Why not hang
Mhm.
out with them and like, like ask them questions like, well, what is this and what does that do? I'm sure he's going to know the crap out of them, but eventually like he's going to go out there, he's going to be like, oh, well, where's my partner? Like, why isn't my bestie out here with me?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
do you
I
think,
agree.
Isela?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of things that you can do to reconnect. Um, I know for us, being able to go out on date nights or like even to dinner and drinks, it's just not possible, you know. Um,
Yeah.
we don't always have a sitter, and we don't always want to take the kids along. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so the other day when it was really cold, like a few weeks ago, what we did is he put the he got a fire going in the fireplace,
Mm-hmm.
and I came in there and I literally turned one couch around to face a fireplace, and he was on
Aw.
the other side playing video games because that's where his
Mm-hmm.
setup is. So we were
Mm-hmm.
just there sitting side by side, kinda. I was reading in front of the fireplace and he was still playing video games, and kind of extended my hand and we were like holding hands at some points, or like I had my foot on
Yeah.
on his lap. So little things like that that
Mm-hmm.
don't require a lot of effort. I feel like those are the best things that help
Mm-hmm.
you reconnect. Especially if you're able to recognize it. I think that's the most important thing here. Being able to recognize
Yeah.
when you are not connected with your partner because
Mm-hmm.
you've been too busy, or somebody's been working too much, or the kids have a lot going on. I feel like being able to recognize that you need to reconnect with your partner is key. And then any little thing can help you reconnect,
Yeah.
whether it's making dinner together, getting the kids ready for bed,
Mm-hmm.
folding laundry.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll be in the laundry room putting laundry up and we'll just be talking back and forth. And we get it
Yeah.
done and we've already spent time together. So
Mm-hmm.
any little thing can help you reconnect as long as you're willing to put in the work and you're able to
Yeah.
recognize that you need to reconnect with your partner.
Yeah. I love that you said putting in the work, because it does take work and it does take
Mm-hmm.
effort. Like it's not just going to land on your lap and it's
No.
going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when it comes to relationships, it's two very unique individuals who are trying to come into a partnership, and it takes work. It does.
Yeah.
It's
A lot
not
of work.
easy, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to put in the effort, because remember, you're sowing your seeds now for what you want in the future, right? For what you
Mm-hmm.
want, towards the end of your relationship. What kind of relationship do you want? Do you want to be married and then 20 years from now, you're all viejitos and your husband's in the living room and you're doing your own thing by yourself? That doesn't
Oh,
sound like fun to
no.
me. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I know that I want a partner that's going to be by my side, even in when we're old and cranky. Want to be old and cranky with my partner.
Yeah,
Um
right? Like fighting all the time, but you're still doing
yeah.
stuff together.
Yeah, and this is a time, and this is when you need to nurture it, and you need to foster that, and you need to develop that relationship into what you want it to be in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess that's one thing that I have my parents to thank for because they're
Mhm.
always together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've ever seen my mom attend an event alone or my
Yeah.
dad attend an event alone. They've just always been like that. They do
Yeah.
everything together. If they do a project, they're doing it together. If they're cleaning the yard, they're doing it together.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go together. They go grocery shopping together. So, I don't know. I mean, I have that to look forward to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Samesies for me. My parents growing up, like I remember like they would get up in the morning and they would cook breakfast together. When it was like payday, when we had to go grocery shopping, like we
Mhm.
all went, and sometimes it
Mhm.
was they left us at the house and they went together. But I really distinctly, remember going and like all of us, here comes Friday, we're gonna go cash our check, we're gonna go get groceries. And then, oh my gosh. And then one thing that I always remember about them is Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings, they would get up really early, but they would stay in bed and just hang out and talk. I
Mm.
remember I used to love that because I used to get all the cheese man, right? I used to know like
Yes.
what the tias were doing, what so and so did, and they would tell each other stories. Like they
Yeah.
would just like hang out and be like, oh, like I remember sometimes they would talk about random stuff like Pancho Villa, right? Back in my day, Pancho Villa did this and he knew so and just random stories that I remember
Yeah.
and love to this day. Like those are some of the fondest memories of like listening to my parents just having those conversations and talking. Like they weren't like hanging out with their phones, they weren't just watching TV, like they were communicating and
Mhm.
sharing stories about when they were little and their tias and I don't know. I think such a beautiful relationship. And I also remember them dancing a lot. Like I remember my mom hated this, but like he would be listening to music or whatever and he would always go and like grab her and like dance with her in the kitchen or the living
Mm.
room or wherever they were. And I just remember and I know, and my mom would be like, no quiero, you know what I mean? But there she
Yeah.
was, you know
She
what I
loved it
mean?
you down inside.
She sure did, man. And man, those are some of the fondest memories. I love that. And I also remember like everything, like just like your parents, like they watch novelas together, they watch TV
Mhm.
shows together, they cook, they clean, they went places. And I remember like my dad would be like my mom would be like, voy a ir or whatever. And I remember he'd be like, no vas a ir sin me. Like, I'm going to go with you. Like, her
Yeah.
protector, right? Her knight in shining armor. There he goes. And I don't think it changed. It didn't change right up until him passing away. But, like, he was always with her everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere, which I think is beautiful. And I think some people don't get to see that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think we've
and
been
some
very
people
fortunate.
don't yeah, and some people don't get to live that either. And
Hmm.
I guess that's the hard thing. If you are raised and you grow up seeing those things,
Hmm.
that's what you expect once you
Hmm.
have a relationship, right?
Hmm.
And if you don't get that, it kind of makes you wonder like why? You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I have a friend and I remember like she so her husband would never go anywhere with her like to the movies or to the bar or like get-togethers or anything. Like he was always at home like gaming,
Mhm.
right? And she was always out, and I don't know if he was just like an introvert and maybe he just didn't like being around people or what, but like I remember I used to think like, man, that's so weird, that he doesn't go with her places and that they don't do things together. But I guess for them that's just what worked, right? But I always thought that was a little, like, I guess because I didn't grow up with that.
Yeah, kind of a little sad. Like what's the point of
Hmm.
being married if you're always going to be alone kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know that that would be like I don't know that I would want something like that. Maybe it just worked for them, right? No one knows what they have or what other connections they build when people aren't around, right? Maybe they had a really strong connection when it was just them by themselves and they would hang out, right? Because
Yeah.
that's something that
Maybe.
yeah, that we may not see looking in. But I always thought like I when I have a relationship, like even as a kid, like I remember thinking like I want somebody who's actively present in my life.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
I want a partner. Like I want a bestie.
Yeah, I agree. And don't get me wrong, I don't want my husband with me all the time. Sometimes I'm in here like trying to read or watching my show and he'll come in here and I'm like, "What do you want?" Like I I'm chilling by myself. Please go play your
Yeah.
games or do something else. But
Yeah.
it's not it's not like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like I you do need your
Yeah.
alone time and you do need separate times.
Mhm.
But I think
Mhm.
for the most part you want to have a strong connection to this person because like you said, this is who you're going to be with until you are old and die basically. So,
Mhm.
cuz once your kids
Yeah.
grow, they're going to leave the house and then you're not going to have anybody else but your partner. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I learned from my parents. My mom has always said, "Los hijos
Yeah.
son prestados." Like your kids are
Mhm.
borrowed. Yes, they're yours. You love
Yeah.
them to death. You raise them. You want the best for them. But at the end of the day, they're gonna grow and they're gonna leave you, and they're gonna find somebody, a partner that's gonna make them happy. So
Yeah.
then you are left with your spouse, and
Yeah.
that's who's gonna have your back for the rest of your life, no matter
Mhm.
what. So
Yeah.
and my dad will say that too. Like I remember one time I was really mad at my mom and like I told her off and he got really, really mad at me. He's like, do not do that. You respect your mom. That's my wife. That's your
Mhm.
mom, but that's my wife. And he's like,
Yeah.
I love you, but I love her more. Because at
Right.
the end of the day, she's going to be with me for the rest of my life. And I'll never forget that.
Mhm.
That I was like, it kind of hurt my feelings that he said that. Like, I love you, but I love her more. But now I understand him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's true, they have to be your ride or die.
Mm
If your partner's not your ride or die, then you have to build that. You know what I mean? Create that relationship. Make him your ride or die. And if that's not working, then I don't know what to tell you, sis. Gotta find yourself a new ride or die.
hmm.
I don't know.
No, at this point in my life, I don't think. I mean, thank God that I have a right of diet at this point in my life. Because could you imagine trying to find somebody new at this point in your lives? No thanks.
Seems like a lot of work. You know what I
It
mean? I,
does.
I think about like all the app dating and like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't even know what to do. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my goodness. All right. So let's kind of shift over a little bit. Let's
Mm-hmm.
continue talking about connections, but let's talk about connections at work. You
Ooh.
know, because I feel like we spend a ridiculous amount of time at work
Mm-hmm.
with our coworkers. So let's talk about work connections.
Right. So I feel like if you do not build good relationships at work, you can feel miserable.
Mm.
Right. So I think
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I've learned is, and I know we talked about this before, is being authentically yourself because that helps attract the right professional relationships. So, you don't have to be besties with everybody at work, but you do have to have
Yeah.
mutual respect and you have to support each other
Mm-hmm.
because that goes a long way.
Yeah. It really does. And at the same time, you don't really want to isolate yourself or make things harder on yourself than they need
Mhm.
to be. But yeah, definitely there has to be some mutual respect. And I mean, also don't underestimate small talk. Like I know like some people shy away from that, or
Mm.
they hate the small talk, but
Yeah.
it's okay to have small talk. I mean, how else do you start relationships? That's how
Yeah.
all relationships get started, with small talk.
Yeah. I agree. Those moments, like the small talks, definitely is how you start building trust with a person. And I feel like it's especially important if you're in a leadership role. You got to invest in your team and your people. Check on them, celebrate their wins, and um, you got to make the workplace somewhere where people want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I think that it's important to have a work bestie,
Mm-hmm.
someone who you can vent to, or just talk to about what's going on with work. However, you do have to be
Mm,
careful with this, because you do want to choose your people wisely, because you never know what another person's intention could be.
yeah, sadly, that's the way it works at a professional setting. You I feel like not everybody needs to know your business. Like I said, you don't need to be besties with everybody.
Mhm.
But you can also build great friendships. You know, you can find besties at work. You
Mhm.
just got to be able to get to know that person enough to know that you can trust that person. Um and then once you get there, remember that boundaries are still necessary no matter how close you get to a person at work, because at the end of the day, you got to be able to set the two apart. Like if you become friends with somebody, you have to be able to keep work professional
Mm.
and personal relationships aside. Because I think I've learned that over the years. Like, you can have some very shady people at work
Mm.
that
Yeah.
have no work ethic and they're just not really good at what they do. But they are amazing people. They are nice and they'll do anything for you, but they just have poor work ethic. So,
Yeah.
it's like a balance and you got to be able to tell them apart.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I feel like at the moment, like, I think I'm in a place in my life where I don't necessarily have a work bestie, you know what I mean? But I
Mhm.
definitely am surrounded with people that, I know and respect, and that if I needed help with anything, or I had a question, I could definitely go and talk to and ask questions to.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I'm definitely not necessarily in the, oh my gosh, I got my bestie at work, but I definitely have good people that I have surrounded myself with.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat. Like, I'm in a new campus this year, and I don't think I have a bestie, but I have definitely found people that are, like you said, always there to give me advice, and like they've helped me out a lot since I'm a
Hmm.
new counselor this year, and everybody at work is really nice. So, I mean, we're
I
not
think that's
besties.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not besties, but I know I could definitely count on them if I needed something. So, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of like the easiest ways to build those relationships, you're just gonna have to put yourself out there, and not necessarily in a sense like we said before, where you're gonna like, give them a rundown of your life, but you definitely have to put yourself out there and introduce yourself and talk to them and ask them
Mhm.
questions. And I mean, you'll definitely, have people that at least that if you need help or you have questions that you can go and talk to.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's talk about keeping your circle strong. Let's talk about friendships because, man, making and keeping friends can be
Mm,
harder than getting all your kids to sleep at the same time sometimes. It's just
yes.
it can get a little intense.
Yeah. It's so hard. I feel like the older you get, the harder it is to make new friends or want to make new friends,
Mm,
I think. You know what I mean?
hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like it's the same thing as having an emotional relationship with somebody. It takes effort, you
Yeah.
know? You can say we should hang out like 50 times, and then if you never
Hmm.
follow through, then what's
Yeah.
the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to put in the effort and you got to
Hmm.
put it on your calendar and make sure that you follow through with it and
Yeah.
make yourself time.
Yeah. And I feel like some people are just more available than other people. Like I know like there's been people who are like, "Oh yeah, we should have lunch or we should hang out or blah blah blah," and then I just like never hear from them.
Hmm.
Or they're busy, you know what I mean? They have kids of their own, they have a career, and they just that's not a priority for them. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
I feel like some people lend themselves better than others.
okay, but listen to what you just said. It's not a priority to them. I
Yeah, it's
feel
not.
like,
And that's why, yeah, and it's okay. Like, that's not a
mm,
problem.
well,
Because if it's not a priority to them, then that's not going to be your bestie at the time. Like, I feel like
right.
people, like, God sends you people, you know what I mean? When you need them. And then sometimes
Mhm.
those people are just stages in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
agree, but I feel like if you're going to build a friendship and keep the
Mm-hmm.
friendship, you'll know
Yeah.
who your people are
Yeah, most
so
definitely.
fast
Yeah.
because they are going to make you a priority and they are going to
Mhm.
make time for you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Everybody that's the thing that I hate the most. People saying I'm busy.
Mm.
Everybody's fucking busy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got stuff going on. Whether
Yeah.
you have kids or you don't, whether you work, whether you're a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you got going on, everybody is busy. The
Yeah.
difference is some people make the time
Mhm.
to see you, to talk to you, to
Yeah.
hang out with you,
Yeah.
and they make you a priority, and
Yeah.
some people don't. And
Yeah.
they use the I'm busy as an excuse to
Mhm.
not give you priority.
Mhm. And sometimes,
Now,
they may not like you and they're just like, "Oh, I'm busy."
yeah,
You
and
know what I
that's
mean?
fine,
You know?
but
Yeah.
we're too fucking old to be dealing with the I don't like you, but I'm
You
gonna
would
be
think.
friendly. I hate
Mhm.
that. I hate
Yeah.
that.
You would
Well,
think, girl.
I'm too old for that. Like, if you don't like me, just tell me.
Yeah.
Don't don't pretend that we're friends and then
Mhm.
tell me, "Oh, we'll hang out," and then we never will. That's
Yeah.
fine. I can say, I don't know. I've gotten to the point in my life where if I don't like you, I'm not gonna pretend to like you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep you a good distance
Yeah.
away. I'll be
Mhm.
cordial to you.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be an asshole.
Yeah.
I'll be cordial, but I'm not gonna purposely invite you to hang out or pretend that I like you.
Yeah. Or go out
I'm
of your way to go say hi or whatever.
no, God
Yeah.
no. If I
Yeah.
see you, hey, how are you? Hope you're
Yeah.
doing well. That's it. But I'm not gonna go out of my way to talk to you. Like, I'm done with that. I'm too old for that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. You
Yeah.
do have those
I hear
friendships that
you.
are low maintenance and you can see each other once a month and it's
Mhm.
perfectly fine. But at least you make time to see each other once a
Yeah.
month. You text each other
Yeah.
every other day, call each other every other day, and that's fine. That's allowed too.
Mhm.
You're making the effort to stay
Yeah.
in contact with that person.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. Definitely. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of my friends are people that maybe don't necessarily live in the same town, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And it's people that I like, I'll call over the phone or like shoot messages or Facebook or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing, you live in the middle of nowhere.
Ain't that the
So
truth?
that doesn't help the situation, If you have local friends, then that you get to hang out with, that's fine. But I know you do have a lot of other friends that don't live where you
Yeah.
live. So that makes it
Yeah.
hard to like, see each other
Yeah.
often enough. But like I said, a phone
Yeah.
call, text message, that still
Yeah.
counts as you
Hmm.
keeping a friendship alive.
Yeah. And I feel like I think kind of like spousal or relationships, like I think friendships also need to be nurtured. And I think they
Mhm.
also need to be like show the person that you care. You know what I mean? Whether,
Mhm.
like you said, it's a phone call or I don't know, send them a little care package or whatever just to let them know that you're thinking of them. I know like I have this one friend who moved away and like for Christmas like she sent me a cute little bookmark, like one of those corner marks bookmarks
Mhm.
that you put on your books. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it was anything extravagant or like crazy, but it was a cute, like she put the effort to find this, bookmark for me and to mail it and send it to me. Like she didn't have to do that during the busiest time of the year, mind you. Like
Yeah.
that's not something that she had to do, she did it because she cares about her friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, she put in the effort. She took the time to do that when
Mhm.
she didn't have to. So I don't know. I agree. I feel like friendships also evolve, like you said earlier.
Mhm.
Some
Mhm.
fade and
Mhm.
then some stay. So I feel like the real friendships grow with you.
I agree. I Yes, absolutely. Like the real friendships aren't gonna fade.
Yeah. They'll grow with you and they'll stick with you. And I have my best friend. She's been friends with me for 10 years. We didn't like each other in the beginning. I didn't like her
Mhm.
because I'm a bitch.
Mhm.
So we kind of like, and she never said anything. She was always nice or whatever. But we got to a point where we hung out one day and we kind of clicked, and ever since then we've been friends. You know, my daughter was a newborn when we first started hanging out. She's about to be 11 this month. So, um we've been friends ever since. So she's been there through my daughter, through my baby.
Mm,
Um and you know, she doesn't have any kids and she still makes the effort, you know, to come to my kids' birthday parties or when we have
mhm.
get-togethers and the kids are here. She's not one of those people that's like, "Well, I don't have kids, so I'm not gonna." Because you
Yeah.
know, you have a lot of friends that are like that. If they have kids, they don't want. If you have kids, they don't want to hang out with you because you're bringing the kids. So she's not like that. So I feel like the real friendships make you a priority and they grow with you and they stick with you throughout the years. And they
Yeah.
don't talk shit about other people to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I
I
agree.
feel I feel like that's when you know that that's a true friend. They don't talk about their other friends to you and
Mhm.
you don't talk bad about your friends to that person.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. It's definitely a way to see what type of person that is. You know what I mean? It says a lot
Mhm.
about a person's moral character,
Mhm.
how they talk about their other friends.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have somebody who is constantly talking negative about the other, their other friends, what could they possibly be saying
Oh,
about you? You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. If somebody talks shit about other people to you, most likely they talk shit about you to other people.
Oh yeah.
100% guarantee that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely the type of people you want to avoid. Yeah.
Yeah. Or keep them like I said,
Yeah.
you can be cordial, you can be nice, but don't go out of
Yeah.
your
Keep
way.
them at arm's length.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had like a toxic friend? Like a friend who just like is super toxic and always has drama?
Like in what way?
Mm.
I think we
Is
all
that a
have.
yes? Mm.
Haven't we
Dude.
all when we were young and dumb?
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, you're right. Because I was thinking, like, I don't think I've ever had anybody like that in my life, but never mind.
Yeah, I think we all have.
Yeah,
Like, I
right?
don't know, elementary, middle school, high
Hmm.
school,
Yeah. Oh
your
my
early
gosh.
20s.
Speaking of, yes. Like, okay, so I had this one friend. Like, we met at work, right? So, I'm not gonna say her name, but like we
Mhm.
met at work. We both worked for attorneys, and we ended up being roommates, dude. And we like had only met each other for a little while. And she's like, "Hey, you want to be my roommate? My lease is up." And I was like, yeah, sure, why not,
Mhm.
right? Yo toda tonta, right? Anyway, she ended up being one of my really good friends, and we had so much fun. Like, this was like my friend that I got to experience like all the crazy stuff, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, oh my gosh, like I remember there was one day where she was upset, right? Because her boyfriend at the time, they were having drama or whatever. And I'm like, I know how to cheer you up. I'm like, get in
Mm.
my car. And so she gets in the car, and I don't know why I did this, but I did. And so, like, I put the music full blast, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do donuts in our front lawn, mind you. So she's in the car. I'm trying to do a donut. I don't know how well it went. I don't think it was a real donut or whatever. I think we are just going in circles. but but I remember that to this day. It was like being young and stupid and just having a really
Mhm.
good time. You know what I mean? And we're not in touch anymore, but I feel like if we were to see each other, like it would feel like time hasn't passed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I feel like we've all had a toxic friend and we've all been that toxic friend at one point in our
Yeah.
lives. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
we grow and we learn and some of us grow and learn, some of us don't. We
Yeah.
stay thinking like those, you know, being not being a girl's girl. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I had a friend. You know, she was a friend when she didn't have a boyfriend, and she
Mm-hmm.
was not a friend when she had a boyfriend. So
Mm.
You know what I mean? And at the time, I
Yeah.
was like, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
but then as I grew, it got to the point where I was like, why am I only needed when she's alone?
Yeah.
And why when I need her and she's not alone,
Mm.
she's not available for me. So, it got to the point where I was like, no, I don't need this. So, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely learn. And I think like one of the hardest things as you grow that you learn is finding those girls, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think some girls or women just aren't taught how to be like that, you know what I mean? Or maybe they just don't have role models or maybe they just don't care. You know what I mean? But I wish I would have learned how to have been more of a girl's girl in my younger years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it took me a good while for me to learn, like, hey, how to be like a girl's girl and how to back up your friends and how to make sure that, you make them a priority. Because I know, like, when I was like in middle school or like in high school, like, I didn't really understand that concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had a best friend, but I don't think I saw a lot of things that I should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, you're young, you're dumb, like you
Mm-hmm.
don't know any better. I mean, fuck, your brain doesn't mature until you're 25 years old. So,
Yeah.
even in your early 20s and your party stage, like you still don't see a lot of things that you do wrong or that
Mm-hmm.
others are doing wrong. And then, once you get older, you get to realize that, oh man, that was really fucked up or things like that. And you just don't want to repeat those patterns anymore. So, it takes time maturing and growing.
Yeah, that's definitely like one thing that I wish I would have understood, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit more growing up.
I
I think
agree.
I could have done better, and I would have chosen my friends a little bit wiser too, because I felt like I had a lot of friends that maybe weren't girls, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I didn't really see that or understand that at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. You live and learn, Casey. Live and learn.
All right, so let's wrap it up. So, we definitely learned today that connections take effort, whether it's a relationship, your career, friendships. It's important to prioritize it, nurture it, and don't take the good ones for granted.
Amen, Casey. And remember, we're all figuring it out together. Let's keep lifting each other up.
Yes, and if you love this episode, don't forget to share it with your bestie, with your coworker, your partner, your mom, whoever.
Mm.
Just share, share, share.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on social media for more unfiltered sister talk. Casey, where are we at on social media?
Okay, so on Instagram, you can find us at Hermanas_Unfiltered. On TikTok, you can find us at Hermanas_Unfiltered_pod. And then you can also find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Hermanas Unfiltered. And then what else do we have?
YouTube. We are on YouTube at Hermanas Unfiltered Podcast. And then if you want to communicate with us, you can send us an email at hermanasunfiltered@gmail.com. All right, hermanas, until next time, don't forget to stay connected and stay unfiltered. Thank you for watching us. Bye.
Bye.